Hello, I am Natalia Engebretsenko-Chirkova, professor in early childhood development and consultant at the Education Outcomes Fund, EOF. As both a scholar and practitioner, I understand the critical importance of outcomes-based approaches in early childhood development and how essential it is to have the right measures in place to support these efforts. That's why I was thrilled to support this important work by EOF on identifying the most appropriate measurement tools for outcomes-based financing programs. EOF has produced a technical brief on this topic, and today we are fortunate to hear from two of its co-authors, Diana and Walt. Diana and Walt were intentional about building on existing work in the community and involving several prominent scholars in early childhood and measurement, including Drs. Sharon Wolf and Dana McCoy. So let us start with Dr. McCoy, who is the Mary and Mark Skargman Associate Professor in Human Development and Urban Education Advancement at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. Over to you, Dana.
There has been tremendous growth in the availability of tools for measuring child development, quality education in the early childhood period over the past 10 years. In the early 2000s, researchers were really left with very few options for assessing ECD other than the ones that had been developed in high-income countries. But now we have more options than ever. And the good news is that we have instruments that do a really great job of rigorously measuring multiple dimensions of children's development, including their cognitive, language, social emotional, and motor skills, using either direct assessments or caregivers' reports of typical behavior. However, we don't yet know a ton about how these tools function in the context of results-based financing specifically. Most existing measures were designed for use in research studies, in program and policy evaluations, or even to screen or diagnose individual children, but their application in results-based financing is still somewhat new. Given this, we don't yet know how or whether these measures might be subject to gaming or how people could manipulate them to produce results that lead to financial gains. We need more work also to improve these instruments' cultural specificity. A lot of the tools that are currently being used to measure child development and quality in majority world or low and middle income country contexts were developed to capture the dimensions of child development that are believed to be universal or look the same everywhere. But we know that children need different skills to thrive in different parts of the world. Given this, we need more investment to understand and measure dimensions of development and quality that are most relevant within any given setting or context. The field of early childhood measurement is expanding every day, which is providing tons of opportunities for researchers and practitioners to understand and ultimately to improve children's opportunities to thrive around the world.
The field of measurement in early childhood care and education has made great progress over the last decade. Many tools have been validated and others are in development. However, the suitability of these measurement tools for outcome-based financing has not been analyzed. So we identified a critical knowledge gap in the early childhood and outcome-based financing communities where we could add value. Paying for outcomes requires defining appropriate payment metrics that can be accurately measured and rewarded. As a result, the Education Outcomes Fund developed a practical guide for selecting appropriate tools to measure early learning quality and early childhood development outcomes for 3 outcomes funds we are designing and that will be implemented in Rwanda, South Africa, and Sierra Leone. With this brief, the Education Outcomes Fund seeks to start an evolving conversation among technical experts designing early childhood care and education outcome-based financing programs, measurement experts, and stakeholders in general in the early childhood field about what are the most effective ways to select and implement tools for outcome-based financing. So our intention is that by collaborating and sharing insights from our experience, we can continue to refine and enhance early childhood measurement tools to ensure that outcome-based financing programs deliver meaningful results for children and communities. When defining the criteria to select and recommend the most suitable measurement tool for outcome-based financing, we consider the main bottlenecks faced when designing these type of mechanisms and also important features that need to be in place to tie payments to measurable and independently verified results. So first, outcomes must be measurable, as what can be measured can be paid for. Therefore, the tool must include relevant domains to have optimal learning environments and holistic early child development. Second, the measurement purpose and the intended use of the data collected. To be suitable for outcome-based financing, a tool must be able to be used in an impact evaluation, since evaluations in an outcome-based programs trigger payments. Third, the tool must be appropriate for outcome-based financing, including the tool must be valid and reliable, designed and adapted to ensure it is meaningful in the specific context and target population. The tool must be sensitive to change to capture improvements over time, and the tool must also accurately detect improvements in quality and child outcomes to trigger payments. And finally, the tool must be resilient to gaming, or to minimize the risk of creating unintended consequences. And the fourth and final criteria we consider was the practical use of the tool in the context that we work in. For instance, we look at tools that were designed for, had been piloted and used in multiple low and middle income countries. And in addition, we consider the time and difficulty to administer the assessment and to consider the measurement and tool use at scale. And this is because the intention is for the government to take over the data collection and management to use data to inform policy decisions after the program ends. Important questions to ask yourself are, have I consulted with the government and other key stakeholders to understand their measurement needs? Can the government integrate the selected measurement tool into its information management system to support its monitoring and quality assurance systems beyond the program? Are there validated and piloted tools in the specific context that could be used? Are these tools reliable and valid for the specific context and target population? Do I have the budget and resources to implement these tools effectively? How will I analyze and use the data collected from these tools beyond triggering payments? Paying for outcomes requires valid, reliable measurement tools that are sensitive to change to capture improvements over time, and that can accurately detect improvements in quality and child development outcomes. As a result, a thorough selection of measurement tools is critical to outcome-based programs, and it can be a bottleneck when developing a strong design that creates the right incentive structure. This technical brief offers a clear and structured criteria for assessing and selecting an appropriate tool for outcome-based financing programs to deliver meaningful results for children.
My name is Sharon Wolf. I'm an associate professor at the University of Pennsylvania's Graduate School of Education. The Sustainable Development Goals were adopted in 2015, nearly a decade ago. These goals brought pre-primary school into the spotlight globally, as there was a target under the Education Goal 4 to ensure that all children have access to at least 1 year of quality pre-primary school. This greatly increased the demand for a tool that can assess preschool children's holistic development and school readiness skills, that's easy to use in low resource contexts, that's free and open access, and that's grounded in rigorous research. Today, I'd like to shine the spotlight on one such tool, the IDELA, the International Development and Early Learning Assessment. And when it was developed almost a decade ago, its use spread quickly. We've used it in urban, more resource communities and in rural, very under-resourced communities. And across these different experiences, IDELA has provided rich data that captures the wide range of skills children have in a given population. Further, in our longitudinal studies with the tool, we've been able to detect growth for children over a period of 2 years. We have also found in some other work that children's skills measured with IDELA in pre-primary school strongly predict their future scores in another widely used assessment for national monitoring systems, the early grade reading and math assessments. So all this suggests that the tool may prove to be a good choice for outcome-based financing schemes focused on pre-primary school, as it can detect a wide range of skills in the preschool years in diverse settings within a country. Further, the fact that it can predict children's future learning outcomes in early primary grades using tools that assess foundational literacy and numeracy skills that are already used in many countries to monitor primary school systems means it has some practical utility too for future educational outcomes.
Hello, my name is Walt Hetzel. I'm a senior program associate at the Education Outcomes Fund, working in our early childhood care and education portfolio in South Africa, Rwanda, and Sierra Leone, and co-author of this technical brief. It's essential that the tools we recommend were specifically designed and tested in low and middle income countries because these regions face unique challenges. Unlike high-income countries, LMICs often have different cultural contexts, limited resource, and diverse educational systems. Tools developed for these environments take these factors into account, making sure that the outcomes that we're measuring, like child development or the quality of ECCE services, are not only accurate but relevant. When a tool is tested in similar settings, we know it's likely to work well in the local context, making it more reliable. In outcomes-based finance, where funding is tied to results, it's vital that the data we rely on can be trusted. That's why having tools already validated in LMICs helps ensure that we are measuring real, meaningful progress and ultimately making an impact where it's needed the most. We designed the must-have criteria to focus on the specific needs of outcomes-based financing. These tools are going to be used to trigger payments, so they need to be valid, reliable, and capable of measuring meaningful changes, whether it's tracking improvements in child development or the quality of ECCE services. That's why we focus on core functionalities, like the tool's ability to perform well in an impact evaluation, its resilience to gaming, and its sensitivity to picking up changes that matter for payments. Then we added a nice-to-have criteria to capture those additional features that, while not essential, make the tools more versatile and user-friendly. For example, we looked at tools that are easy to administer, work in different kinds of settings, or cover a wide range of developmental areas, such as cognitive and socio-emotional skills. This two-layered approach ensures that we pick tools that can meet the rigorous demands of an outcomes-based financing program while still being practical for a variety of ECCE contexts, especially in LMICs. The main takeaway is that outcomes-based financing in early childhood care and education relies on selecting the right tools to measure progress. And this brief offers a clear and well-defined process for doing that, ensuring that funding is directly tied to real measurable improvements in both childhood development and the quality of ECCE services.